Hello, St. Matthews and Cowley, St. Lawrence. It has been absolutely ages since we have been together. And I hope most of you at St. Matthews remember me. I am Mrs. Kirkelang. I haven't been to Cowley, St. Lawrence, but I promise when we are out of lockdown, I will come and visit. But here, another opportunity to come together and worship. And it's good that you can be in school, isn't it? You can be with your friends, you can be with your teachers, and we're here for yet another school worship. I don't know how your week is going, but I'm sure a lot of you are looking forward to half term. I know I am. So as we wrap up the last few days before we go into half term, let's use this as another opportunity to worship and to learn. But it's strange times, isn't it? So when we come to God, we can come just as we are, with the things that bring us joy and with the things that even make us sad. So as we get ready to worship, you know what? Let's start with lighting our candles. I'm not in church today, some technological issues, but I've got one of the candles from church. I promise I will put it back. So I've got a candle from church. I will light this candle as we start worship. And why don't you light the candle in your class with your teacher's help and supervision, of course. So let's go. Just like you light a candle and it makes the darkness bright. So that's what we symbolize, that God is here with us. So we can come just as we are. Soon we'll have the opening prayer on the screen and we can join in. Reverend Richard's not here today. So even from the other side of the screen, I'm going to need your help. So let's get our hands up. And like we do in church, think of what you've got in your hands, the things that make you happy and the things that have been making you sad. Let's bring all of these to God as we say, Lord, we are here today to worship you together. And you know what? Let's do just that. We will have our opening song, which is You Are My All in All. And I know all of you can't sing. Half of you will sing. And the rest of you, even though you can't sing, why don't you think about what it means for God to be our all in all? So let's sing.
You are my strength.
I hear that for the last couple of weeks, we have been studying or learning stories from the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible. And we're going to stay in Genesis even today. You heard about Abraham and Sarah. And last week, you heard about Jacob and Esau. It's all staying within this one family. So Abraham's son was Isaac, and Jacob and Esau were Isaac and Rebekah's sons. Now, if you remember anything of what Mr. Prince said to you last time, so Esau was Isaac's favorite and Jacob was Rebekah's favorite. Now, that caused a lot of trouble in their family. And if you remember, Jacob and Esau had a big falling out and they didn't talk to each other for many, many, many years. Thankfully, the story ends when they are friends again. They have made up and they're living together as family. Now, you would have thought that Jacob would have learned his lesson. Well, guess what? Jacob goes on to have his own favorite. So today, we're going to be thinking about Jacob's favorite son, and his name was Joseph. He is called Joseph the Dreamer. Now, if I could only let you in on a little secret, Joseph is one of my favorite Bible characters. That's okay, right? He's not part of my family, and it's not like I'm going to treat him better than I am someone else. Now, lots and lots of different stories in Joseph's life, but let's hear some of what we're going to think through today. And we've got Anna Claire here today, and she is going to tell us a story. And I think she's also got a little treat. I think you're going to be joining her with some actions. So let's join Anna Claire now.
So hi, St. Matthews and Cowley. So today we are doing the story of Joseph and his coloured coat and his brothers. So today we have some actions for the story. So when I call these words, you're going to do the actions that go along with it. So we have a coat, and for the coat, we're going to zip. So when you hear the word coat, you're going to zip up your coat. Then we have brothers. Now Joseph had 11 brothers, so we're going to go 11 fingers. So we'll go like that when you hear the word brothers. Then we go forget. So what do you do when you forget? You go, oh, I forgot. You're going to hold your forehead. Then when we have dreams, we're going to go and close our eyes like we're dreaming. Then after that, we have Prime Minister, and we're going to do a wave. Oh, hi, Prime Minister. Then we have an idea. So you have an idea and you're going to put up your one finger as you have an idea. Then we have Egypt. So when we hear the word Egypt, we're going to rub our hands together and you can hear it and it will make like little sand in Egypt. Then we have kiss and you're going to go like the French. You're going to go mwah, mwah. Then we have prison and you're going to hold your hands up like you're behind bars in prison. So these are the actions for the words, and I'll make sure I do them as well. So we'll read the story together. Joseph had a cool coat and 11 brothers. 11 brothers. So the house was a bit of a squish. They all had long names and he often used to forget them. So he forgot them all the time and mixed them up. So he called his brothers on his fingers. So we have Rube, Sim, Lev, Jude, Is, Zeb, Ben, Dan, Gad, Ash, and Naph for short. So that's 11 brothers. They called him a pain, partly because he kept forgetting their names, and partly because he had a really, really wild dreams. His dream, he dreamt about everything: lions, Marmite, gladiators, the stars, shredded wheat, and even a pig called Babe. He always told his brothers about his dreams. and they told him about their dream, which was to get rid of Joseph forever. One night, Joseph dreamt that he was in charge of his brothers, a bit like the Prime Minister. We wave to the Prime Minister. He thought that the dream was a great idea. So he told his brothers, and they had a great idea. They took Joseph out in the desert and dropped him there into a hole. Then they ran off. Later they came back and said sorry. Then they sold him as a slave to some people from Egypt. In Egypt, Joseph ended up in a really big house. The owner was called Potiphar, but Joseph soon shortened it to Potty, so he wouldn't forget it. Potty's wife was very beautiful, and one day she tried to kiss Joseph, so he panicked and jumped out of the window, leaving his coat behind. Potty was so angry with Joseph that he flung him into prison. Oh no. Well, it's a very long story, but in the end, God got Joseph out of prison. He met the king of Egypt, became prime minister, and was put in charge of everyone, including his brothers, which was exactly was his dream. Now that's the end of the story. I hope you all kept up, and thank you.
So, lots of information, lots of facts, but one of the things that we're thinking about today is about how Joseph's brothers were jealous of him. They were jealous of Joseph the dreamer. Now, have you ever been jealous? Jealous of a brother or a sister or a friend? Now, if we were in church today, I would have asked, I'd have asked for your hands up, and I'd have got you to help me think through what it means to be jealous. Now, what it means is when you want something that someone else has, or when you don't really like the fact that someone else is noticed more than you, or is praised more than you. Now, I know that sometimes I get jealous. Do you? What about if someone gets a better mark than you? Or what if someone scores more goals than you in football? Does that make you jealous? Now, what if you were the person who got the better mark, or who played football better than the others? Would you show off? Just a little, maybe? Now, if we were listening to that story, we know that Joseph's brothers were jealous of him. And you know what? You wouldn't really blame them, would you? After all, it was Joseph who got that special coat from his father. And if you read the story in Hebrew, coat of many colors actually means a royal garment. That means something that a king or queen would have worn. Can you imagine 12 sons and giving a coat like that to only one? Of course, the brothers were jealous. Now, what they did wasn't very nice. They sold Joseph for money. They sold him as a slave, and he was taken to Egypt. But let's think about Joseph for a moment. Surely he could have maybe been a little bit more humble. Now, of course, he wasn't lying when he shared those dreams. Those were the dreams that he had. But maybe he could have been a little bit more humble. He obviously liked the idea that his brothers, his family were going to be bowing down to him. I wonder if the story would have turned out any differently if They didn't fall out with each other. If Joseph hadn't shown off, if his brothers hadn't been jealous and they hadn't got rid of him. Imagine, because when Joseph told his brothers that he dreamt about them bowing down to him, imagine if you had to come to school every day and bow down to the person sitting next to you. Just take a look at that person sitting next to you. Imagine if you had to bow down to them every day. Would you like that? Now, don't tell them if you'd like it if they bow down to you. But the important thing to remember here or to learn here is that Joseph's dreams were way bigger than even he realized. His brothers didn't like it. His father kept that in mind, but his dreams were way bigger than even he realized, because God had a much bigger plan for him. We heard in the story that Anna Claire told us that he went on to be Prime Minister of Egypt. And you know what? Lots of people bowed down to him. But in his position as Prime Minister of Egypt, he helped hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people in Egypt, but also the people of Israel, also his family. And if you ever watch the movie or if you ever watch video clips, you'll see that his brothers actually, and they don't know who he is, they don't know he is the prime minister, but his brothers actually come and bow down before him. So if we were in church, I'd have asked you, what is it that we learn from this story? And what can we do differently? Now, one of the things for us to remember is that God has made everyone special. God made Joseph and all of his brothers very special. In fact, if you read the history of Israel, you'll see that Israel was divided into 12 tribes, and the tribes were named on the 12 sons of Jacob. So not just Joseph. Of course, Joseph was prime minister of Egypt, but all of the other brothers, whether it was Reuben or Levi or Simeon or Judah, all 12 of them, I remember some of the names, not all, but all 12 of them, they had tribes named after them. So God had a plan for each one of them. In the same way, each one of you, each one of us is special. And imagine, maybe the person who is the kindest in class, or the person who makes you smile even when you're feeling sad, that may not be the person who gets the best mark in class, or that may not be the person who is the best at football. And can you imagine if all of your teachers were good only at English? Then who teach you maths, and who teach you science, and who teach you history? So all of you are special. Just one thing I want to show you. If I told you I was going to be having this for my pudding today. This, I mean, you can see we've got some banana and some apples there. If I told you that I was going to be having this for pudding today, I don't know what you guys are having for pudding, but if I said, I mean, not bad, eh? I like bananas and I like apples, so that's okay. But what if I told you, now give me a moment. What if I told you that I was having this fruit salad? Oh, there ran off one of my raspberries. But if I told you that I was having this for pudding, can you see that? I've got watermelon, I've got grapes, I've got pomegranate, I've got raspberries, I've got mango, I've got kiwi, and I've also got pineapple. Oh, doesn't that look yum? Now, actually, I'd have asked you which one you'd have gone for. And you know, sometimes when we have volunteers come up in church, I'm just cleaning up that little raspberry juice that's fallen here in front of me. And if we were in church, and can you imagine if we had any volunteers come up, maybe you could have tasted some of this fruit salad. And I mean, just from looking at the big bowl, I can already tell it's going to be yummy. But If we are jealous, if we don't remember that we need to value each other, we need to build friendship, that each one of us is important, we'll end up with fruit salad that looks like this. It's still okay, but it's not like the real thing. We don't enjoy all of the different colors and all of the different flavors. So when we learn to value each other, when we learn that each one of us is special, our lives are full. They're full of more color. They're full of more joy. And don't we need a little bit more of that in these strange times that we're living in? So just as we are about to end, I'm going to ask you to do one thing. I can't hear what you're saying, but I want you to have a little bit of a think. And then I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them one thing about them that's special. Now, some of you may have the idea already. Some of you may need to think for a moment. One thing about the person sitting next to you that is special. Go on, have a little think and tell them. Now, just one thing. Don't go through a whole list. And you know what? Maybe you can get back and talk about that later. There's so much we can learn from this story about Joseph and his brothers. But the most important thing to remember is that we need to value each other and that each one of us is special. Now, just because we have been missing all of you so much, I tried to rack my brains to think of how could I get at least one student, at least one child involved in school worship. So I've got Mason, who's going to help us pray, because with all of this that we've been thinking through, let's just pray. And let's just ask God to help us as we learn to live as friends, as we learn to trust each other, as we learn to value each other. So Mason will be joining us now.
Dear God, thank you for the story of Joseph and his brothers and his amazing coast. Thank you for what we can learn from this story. Help us not to be jealous like Joseph's brothers. Help us not to show off like Joseph. Help us instead to treat each other with love and kindness. Amen.
Thank you for joining us, Mason. Wasn't that lovely to see one of your classmates, one of the students from, I know it was St. Matthew's, up on screen and helping us to pray. Now it's time for all of us to join in, and we've got our next song, which is Wonderful Lord. And this song has actions. So while half of you sing, the rest of you can also join in with the actions.
Wonderful Lord, wonderful God, you are my shield, my protector. I can lie down, go off to sleep, knowing you're watching over me. Wonderful Lord, wonderful God, help me to trust you forever. I need not fear, 'cause you are near. I can lie down and sleep. Wonderful Lord, wonderful God, you are my shield, my protector. I can lie down, go off to sleep, knowing you're watching over me. Wonderful Lord, wonderful God, help me to trust you forever. I need not fear, 'cause you are near. I can lie down and sleep in peace. You are my shield, my protector. I can lie down, go off to sleep, knowing you're watching over me. Wonderful Lord, wonderful God, help me to trust you forever. I need not fear, 'cause you are near. I can lie down and sleep in peace. Wonderful Lord, wonderful God, you are my shield, my protector. I can lie down, go off to sleep, knowing you're watching over me. Oh, wonderful Lord, oh, wonderful God, help me to trust you forever. I need not fear, 'cause you are near. I can lie down and sleep in peace.
Now, you know, we're at that point in our worship when we will be joining in the Lord's Prayer, and we would be choosing volunteers to come up and lead in the actions. So hopefully I can remember the actions, but do join in your classrooms. Let's get ready to say the Lord's Prayer and join in the actions. We start like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So it's now time to join in the school prayer. Okay, so let's join in the school prayer and join in with the actions. Dear Heavenly Father up above, look down on St. Matthew's School with love. Shower us with happiness, shield us from sadness, together forever. Amen. I have really, really missed you guys. I've missed being together in church every week, singing with you, and not just sharing with you different Bible stories, but actually learning from you, because you all have so much wisdom to share. And today, do remember what we were talking about? We were talking about Joseph the dreamer. We learned about how his brothers were jealous of him. But we also learned about how God can change or use the circumstances, the situation we're in, to change it for good, and that all of us are special. So you've got a few more days before you go into half term. Remember, even when you're at home, hey, maybe you know what you could do? When you're on half term, make some fruit salad at home with your family. And as you put in the different fruit, remind yourself that your family, your friends in school, your friends outside of school, that everyone is special, that you are special too, not just the person sitting next to you, not just that other person in the family, but that you are special too. So St. Matthew's and Cowley St. Lawrence, was lovely to be with you. And I will look forward to when we will be back together in person. Have a lovely week and God bless you.